Alrighty, welcome back to another quick YouTube video. This one we're going to be sticking with the Claude Code and Notion theme. This time around creating 30 days of content in X amount of seconds, X amount of minutes. It's X at the moment because we actually got to run that scenario and we'll find out for sure. But I'm hoping can generate 30 days worth of content in a couple of minutes. We're going to be comparing, I guess, the manual approach. There would probably be an intermediate scenario in here, but we'll compare the manual approach, which basically you create a page and then you fill in that page with relevant information, assigning the page to a particular person, assigning it to a project, adding a due date, these sorts of things. And then you go ahead and write the content within that page. And then you repeat that per piece of content. In this scenario, we've got 30 days worth of content, so 30 Twitter threads for this tutorial. In terms of estimated time, I've broken it down into the Notion setup. So as mentioned, these things are kind of manual things that you have to do. You have to click a button to create the page. You have to click around in order to assign it to different things and different people. And then you have to go ahead and write it. And the writing part is another time allocation. So time allocated to setting up Notion, and then time allocated to actually writing the content that you would then put into Notion. If you were using some templates, for example, the Notion setup could be quicker, but even if you use a Notion template, there would still be aspects where you have to kind of go in there and manually change bits and pieces. So the intention of this, and just down here is just some examples of the manual things that you would have to do. You'd have to kind of do all of these different things, and then this would just be, you have to do that for every page that you do, every single piece of content that you do. What we're hoping to do with this is use Claude Code, and basically you provide a prompt, you like create content for January, or create content for this week or this day. Claude will take in that prompt and it will reference the skill. So we've created a create content calendar skill. Within that, it has some bits of rules. It has some variables associated with relevant Notion IDs, Notion databases, pages, team member ID, so it can quickly create the queries that it needs to create in order to query reference docs or create the actual pages and content itself. So the flow would be you prompt Claude Code would query reference documents. So we'll go over into Notion what they mean, but these could be things like content ideas. So there might be a Notion page where you and your team add different content ideas into it. You have a branding guidelines doc, so the tone, your brand tone, the target audience, these sorts of things. And then another reference doc could be a particular way to structure your content or particular way to structure your Twitter threads. So there are these different pages in Notion that inform, become like a single source of truth in terms of reference, what the Claude Code should reference in order to create things. So it references these reference docs, and then based on that information, we'll go ahead and create, assign, and write all of this at once. So all of these things it will do at once itself. So the idea is that in this scenario, assuming 30 minutes of time it takes to write a piece of content, and you're doing that 30 times, that's 15 hours plus assuming a 1 hour Notion setup. That's 16 hours. We're hoping to do it. 1 minute's probably a bit of a stretch. You could probably optimize your skills maybe in order to get this down. But based on 1 minute, that's 960x savings. And then I think realistically, I think we could get it to 4 minutes, but we'll actually run the test and we'll time it and we'll see. So that's the intention for today. So we'll go into the Notion demo account that I have set up. So the same demo Notion account from the previous tutorial. This one I've just added a few extra databases and pages, and also created a content calendar view for tasks, which is, so all pieces of content are just going to be added to the task database, but they will just have a content calendar tag. And so this view just filters for those particular tasks with the content calendar flag. And when we generate the pieces of content, this should kind of populate in real time. So we should see these things getting created on the screen in real time as the Claude Code is doing its thing. These are the reference docs, so the content ideas. This is just an example of some ideas, sticking to the AI business workflow related things. So Claude Code will reference this doc. This is like a living doc, so your team can kind of add to this throughout the month. And so at any given point when Claude Code is generating content, it will have like an updated version of what those ideas are. Branding guidelines, as mentioned, voice, tone, target audience, it will reference these, words to use, words to avoid. And then a thread template example of how to do the hook, the body, tweets, the outro, and then the output format. So this format is what should appear in each page that gets created. It will get formatted. So each thread tweet is its own code block, so you can just easily copy and paste it. But you can format it however you want. And then in here you have a teams page with the different people in your team. Bob, Jane, Agent, Carol, Bob, Alice. Don't know why there's a few different ones in there, but that's kind of what it is. So the idea is when we do the prompt, it will get loaded here. It will get linked to a project, in this case, content calendar. And when each piece of content is marked as done, in this case, that would probably be scheduled or published. Just like all projects, the progress bar will get updated automatically. And the progress on projects is based on total tasks divided by completed tasks or done tasks in this case. So for those that haven't, I'll quickly go through the integration. So to integrate, if you go to settings and you come down to connections, you can develop or manage integrations there, or you can do it down at the bottom there, the connections. Oh, get that off. Sorry about that. But if you go to the ones that I showed you in the settings first, it'll take you to this page. You create a new integration if you don't have one already. I've created one for this YouTube account. And here you provide the access that you want. So I've provided access to dashboard and databases, and that's kind of all the pages and databases that I have in this test account. You configure it with the capabilities, reading, updating, inserting. In this one, I've got all of those enabled. So that's how you create the integration. And then from there, you create your project folder in whatever IDE you're using. In this case, I'm using Cursor. And what you do is in your .env file, you would add your Notion token here, which is just this token. And then what I've done is I've added variables for the different IDs that I am going to be frequently using in my Notion queries. So these would be database IDs, page IDs, and even people IDs. These are IDs of the people that I've created in the Teams database that I shared just before. And then the next step is create your skill. So I've created a bunch of different skills before, but this particular one uses this one, create content calendar skill. I'm not going to go through exactly how this is done, but when you just use Claude Code to create this. So basically what it does is it reads content ideas from Resources DB, it matches tone from branding guidelines. So this is where it kind of references these reference docs first before it creates anything. and then it creates the tasks in the content calendar. So yeah, if you give it context, if you create the environment file with the variables in there, it can then, like, probably before you create the skill, you would load those env files, and then you would just ask kind of Notion to query your Notion integration, get an understanding of what the database looks like, the different pages that are in there, etc. You can even start quite fresh, like the things that I've added to this one I just did just before this tutorial. And once it gets an understanding and then of what you currently have, you give it some context around what you want, and then it will propose and how it intends to, like, it proposes a plan on how it would update Notion in order to kind of do the things that you want. It will update the schema and update the schema, add tables, add pages, add properties to pages, etc. And then the last step would be prompting it to create the skill, to create it in the particular way that you want. So for me, I have the resources database, the branding guidelines, the Twitter thread template, but for you, potentially you have different reference docs that you want to integrate into the skill. So as mentioned in the previous video, I use skills as opposed to MCPs. You can use MCPs. I just like skills. There's less kind of bloat, and I just very direct and intentional with what I want to do with Notion. So I can be quite explicit, and I can have generic skills as well to do some querying and updating and inserting and stuff like that. I just find it's just my preference, but you can use MCPs if you want. It has a similar sort of thing, but this is just a matter of taste. So this is the skill. So now we have that set up. We can go ahead with the actual test. So we'll open up. Okay, so let's go ahead and test this out. First thing we want to do is cd into our project. The skills that I created are scoped to a particular project. So when you have skills that are scoped to a project, in order to use those skills so that they get invoked automatically, etc., you need to start the Claude session within that particular project. So navigate to your project, cd into your project, and then start Claude. And what I'll do is, so before, I'm going to set a timer just to see how long it will take, and I'm going to start that timer once I press go. But what we're going to do is create 30 days worth of content on our content calendar here, and hopefully, if all goes well, it will we'll see each one created on here. What I did before was there'll be a cut in this video because I started it before and it added it to January 2025. So what I did was updated the skill real quick, made the default as 2026, and I also changed the pattern that before the agents were creating these tasks sequentially. And with 30 pieces of content, that's not ideal. So what I did is changed it so that it would spin up a sub-agent per task. So I haven't tested it with the sub-agent pattern yet, but hopefully we see this working live and it will work. And in theory, we'll do it a lot faster. So what we're going to do here is, let's go in here. Hello, can we please use the Claude Code calendar skill in order to generate 30 pieces of content for January 2026? So one piece of content per day. Let's start the timer and go. So create content calendar, thinking 15 seconds in. So starting off by reading the reference documents. So for your system, you'll have different reference documents, but for this, as mentioned, and as you can see here, we're looking at the content ideas page. We're looking at the branding page. We're looking at the Notion thread template page. To get that context, and these will be, living documents. At least some of the reference documents will be living and dynamic and changing, day to day, week to week. Some of them will be a bit more standardized, like branding guidelines probably won't change too much. But you get the idea. You have reference documents that Claude Code can have a look at. So it's going through. So it's taken about a minute so far in order to get context around information that you deem as being important before it starts generating stuff. So yeah, minute 15, it's gone through all the, since I need 30 threads but have 20 base ideas, I'll expand topics into multiple angles. So it's giving you a bit of a preview, the category, the assignee, so these are the people who will assign it to, the dates, proceed. So that worked for a minute 30 to get the reference, script out the ideas, kind of get the information in terms of assigning to a date, assigning to a person, assigning to, doesn't show project in here, but there's all gets assigned to the content calendar project. Okay, so here, looks like here it's spinning up these agents. 1 per day, which is good. So it looks like it's working. Let's see if it actually does the job. Okay, using a few tokens each. Hopefully I don't run out of my quota, session quota, before this tutorial runs out. Come on, let's go. So we're 3 minutes in. Nothing created yet. It's running the bash command now. So hopefully we start seeing some stuff created soon. So it's running 10 task agent. Maybe that's the limit to how many agents you can spin up at once. Not too sure. There we go. We got our first one in. Got our second one. Agent number 8 is finished second. And as you can see, the content calendar, you can see how many tasks are assigned to it. So far there are 2 tasks assigned because there's only been 2 tasks that have been created. Now they start kind of completing a bit more altogether. There we go. Interesting, they've been assigned to the status of inbox. Obviously in the skills you can have a default of what status that you want to assign it to. I don't really specify that properly, but it probably should be doing or do or something. Okay, so now it's going to be creating the next one. So it looks like you can only run 10 agents, sub-agents at once. So I actually don't think that was much faster than sequential, to be honest. But I don't know why that would be the case. But if we come in here and just click one example, so YAI agents are replacing SAS dashboards, you got your tweet one hook, the problem, the shift, all the different ones, and this should match the let's bring this up properly. This should match the thread template that we have here, which it does. And just to kind of give you an idea of the progress, if we come into here and change inbox to done, you'll see that this content calendar updates. So at the moment, there's only 10 tasks been created and therefore linked to this project. And therefore if one of those 10 tasks is completed, that's 10%. But that will, as a percentage, that will go down as more tasks get created. So far we're in 6 minutes. So if we can get it to less into the single digits for minutes, that would be ideal. I mean, ideal, I don't really know what the ideal kind of tag, why it's ideal necessarily, but maybe for the YouTube title, it would be cool if we could do at least under 10 minutes or 9 minutes. Single digits just feels like it's a bit cooler. So there we go, running all these sub-agents, spitting out all these things. So these are all, in theory, following a particular format, a particular style that you defined beforehand. As you can see, they're getting allocated to different team members. Assigned to the content calendar. So now there's 20 tasks created. That is now 5%. So it should do the final batch. And hopefully we get that done in, we've got 2 minutes. If we can get this done in 2 minutes, then we can say that we've generated 30 days worth of content in less than 10 minutes. So let's see how we go. Come on, 2 minutes to go, bro. You got this. AI agents versus automation. What's actually different? My goodness. There you go. Some AI slop for you. Probably should change the title to Claude Code plus Notion, how to generate 30 days worth of content slop in 10 minutes. I don't know if that would get more views or not, but we all know that it's a slop. Unless you're really good at programming good content, which you can with really good reference documentation. Okay, so we're currently at 9 minutes. We need to get this done in 50 seconds. Come on. There we go. There we go. Come on. 9 minutes, 16. We've got 40 seconds to go. 3 pieces of content to go. And we are... Let's have a look here. My time is at 9:30. Actually. Oh, it's probably... Let's just do, 30 pieces of content. So we're ignoring 31. Come on, and done. 9:50. So I've got here at took 9 minutes 50 from clicking go to send the prompt to Claude Code to generating 30 pieces of content, all kind of linked to a project, assigned to a particular person, assigned to a date. You can add other things, tags, blah, blah, blah. you can define this all in the skill, and it can do all of this at once. So I find that Claude Code is really good with bulk operations. And if there's a particular pattern for these bulk operations, then you can define those patterns in the skill, and then it can do its own thing as long as it's got the correct context. So that's the demo for today. Creating content using Notion and Claude. We did the timer. It took us 9 minutes and 50 seconds to create 30 days worth of content. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep kind of like playing around with Notion and Claude for a while, just to kind of get some ideas and see how Claude Code can integrate with different sources. I'm particularly interested in Notion just because of context stuff. So like in reality, context exists in different locations, whether it's Jira, whether it's Google Docs, Google Drive, Figma, Notion. There's a lot of information that exists in different places where when you're writing code or doing some sort of work-related activity, like in a lot of occasions, you need some of that context. So looking at Notion as a way to, as just one idea of how to sync context across different platforms. So I'm working my IDE, working on a particular code base locally, that's syncing with GitHub, but somehow there's some syncing happening using skills, using MCPs between these different things. So it's this weird like semantic sync engine that we're trying to be developing. Okay, thank you for watching. If you have any ideas for another thing you want me to explore in general, but like particularly like at the moment, I'm kind of trying to go different angles for Claude Code and Notion. So if there's any use cases that you want me to focus on with this or something completely different, let me know. All right, peace.